Okay, so I have sent the file for today's lesson, and during last class were able to cover the third grammatical case and the inferential usage case. So today we're going to start a new particle, which is called the inclusive and ornamental particle, gendu. Gen, which means ornamental, du, which means inclusive. So in today's class, we will discuss on this particle, and most probably introduce the particle in this class, and some general idea, more or less introduction to this particle today. And then in next class, we'll talk about the association on the basis of suffix letter, and finally the usage case. So therefore, today we're going to do the introduction of the particle, and with that we will do some we'll do the introduction of the particle and some general idea of what this particle is. Okay, so I have the file here. Those who are able to view it clearly in your screen, please view it there. Those who are not able to view it clearly there may view it here on the screen sharing. Okay, so we will begin with the, so I will first begin with the verse of homage or verse of dedication, praise to Mother Saraswati, and with the auspiciousness that comes with reciting this verse, we begin the class with great auspiciousness. Okay, so and the English translation, including with the materials of the previous class, will be uploaded shortly. So therefore, last time due to some electricity issue, the upload was not able to be completed. So it will be done probably by tomorrow, or most probably tomorrow. Okay, so let me begin by reciting this verse. So this is a verse that is paying homage, paying respect, praise to Mother Saraswati. Okay, so the first line is Tusum Sherab Drimela Chatalo, which means that I prostrate. So we begin with the first line, which is by itself a line that is also a line of taking refuge, or a line of prostrating in respect to Mother Saraswati. Tusum Shirab Drimela Chatalo. Tusum means 3 times. Shirab means wisdom. Drime means lamp. Chatalo means to prostrate. So it means I prostrate to you, O a lamp of wisdom that burns in the 3 times, meaning that burns throughout the eternity. Okay, now this verse, that is a verse to pay homage to Mother Saraswati. Kundu Shoma Jambe Yangchen. Kundu Shoma means eternally youthful female incarnate. So a female incarnate that is eternally youthful. So kundushama jambil yangjema, meaning jam jam means glorious, pel means uh, uh, pel is respected or venerated. Yangjema means Saraswati. So there is the glorious and venerated Mother Saraswati, who is eternally youthful. Songyang Cho Zhi Yi Xie Yangjema. Songyang Cho means the best of all the speech, the most wonderful speech and wisdom. And Cho Zhi means vault, the one who is the vault of all the wonderful and the most excellent speech. Yixie is also another word for wisdom. Yangjema. So Saraswati, with Saraswati, who is the wisdom incarnate, that is the vault of the most excellent speech. Tima Kunte Vimal Yangchema. So Vimal is actually not a Tibetan word. It is a word in Hindi, Vimal, which means someone that is without any stain, someone that is that is most purified by the wisdom. So Vimal. So Tima Kunte means stain. And when we talk about stains, we're talking about two types of stain. The stain by the affliction and the stain by the impression of affliction. So Tima Kunte Vimal Yanchema. So who is free from all these stains, O Vimala, which is also another name. So it's another name for Yangchema or Saraswati. I bow down to the body, speech, and mind. Gu is body, Sung is speech, Tuk is mind. So I bow down to the body, speech, and mind of the Saraswati. Then Om Sarvagyana. So that's paying homage to the all-pervasive, omniscient wisdom. Okay, so I will also send the translation of this verse with the PDF, which will contain all the things that I'm going to write during this class. The reason I sent a PDF before the class or during this class is so that you can view it while we're having the class. But I'll send another copy of the PDF, a similar one, but that will contain the things that I write in the class. Okay, so today we begin with the ornamental and inclusive case. So, so out of the dependent particle, we're already done with the recompound particle. Then we went through with the particle used in place of la, and then we discussed the particle that possesses the first vowel, that is E. Now we're at the fourth particle, which is the inclusive and ornamental particle. Okay, so so this is the line from the Tree of Excellent Speech that introduces us to the particle of this particular usage. So therefore, the usage in this particular statement, in the form of this particular statement, has particles, and the line that introduces us to these particles is So this line, which means that the inclusive and ornamental particles are kyang, yang, hang. So what do we know from this particular line? We know the usage case, though still there are we will discuss it more under each of these category. So there are two category of usage case. One which is the ornamental, and the other one is the inclusive. So it can be used in ornamental as well or in inclusive statement. These three particles. So the line tells us about the usage case, which is the inclusive and ornamental. And any statement that shows this particular type of function or shows this particular type of understanding are known as the statement of the inclusive and ornamental particles. So it is known as the particle of inclusive and ornamental case. So therefore, we understand that there are three particles of both cases, and unlike the third grammatical case and the sixth grammatical case, they do not differ in both of these usage cases. That is, they are same. Whereas during the discussion of the third grammatical particle and the sixth grammatical particle, we understood that the difference is of the suffix letter sa. For the third grammatical case, we have the sa as a suffix. But for the sixth grammatical case, we understand that for those particles, we don't have sa as a suffix. But in this case, we understand that the particle for both the inclusive and the ornamental case are the same. The three of these particles are the same for both of these cases. Okay, so therefore, the most important thing is to understand what do we mean by inclusive and ornamental case. We will definitely discuss these cases in more depth and more examples later during the discussion of the usage cases. But for now, we'll just give a brief introduction, which means that we will introduce both of them on the basis of their definition and structure. A very brief introduction to their structure. Okay, so I will read both Tibetan and English. The reason I'm reading the Tibetan part or the portion is so that every one of you can have can listen to it and then in some way also learn how to pronounce things to pronounce things clearly. So this is the reason why I'm also reading the Tibetan portion. And then those of you who are willing to look at both of these in the context of seeing what word I have used to translate it in English, you can do that so. Okay, so genduni so the inclusive and ornamental particles should be understood. So inclusive and ornamental should be understood as inclusive and ornamental case. So when we talk about case, we're talking about the usage case. So this is what one must understand. So Jeba. So this is something that we have been talking quite we have been emphasizing quite often in this class, that we're going to use the word Jeba and not Siktu. So we're going to use the word statement rather than the word sentence. And we have already discussed why this is so. So, Jeba Khana, Sig Name, Shimmer, Gan Tower, Sig Kyang Yang Ansum Ki Tempala, Sigan. So, in which, so Jeba Khana means in whichever statement. So it it could be any of the statements. So in whichever statement, so the criteria for a statement to be a statement of inclusive usage case, is that it could be any of the statement in which if the particle "skiang yang heng" are used to show that the second word is ornamental or exaggerating the quality of the first word, then it is the inclusive case. So what does the second word? So between the first and the second word, there is the particle, which is the particle of the ornamental case, which is used between two of these words. And the reason why this is used is so that the second word, what it does is that it takes the description of the first word, and then it exaggerates upon it, meaning that it ornaments or it exaggerates or it just increases the influence of the description over a certain thing. So therefore, it's a statement in which there are two ornamental words, and both of these ornamental words. In both of these ornamental words, there is a certain type of description. But the second ornamental word, what it does is that it takes the description of the first ornamental word and exaggerates it. So that type of statement, in which the second word ornaments or exaggerates the quality of the first word, then such type of case, usage case, is known as inclusive case. And the particle that is used to show the relation between both of these ornamental particles and to function as the second, function in a way that the second ornamental word exaggerates the first one. This type of usage case is known as ornamental case. 당 칭나마 당 치매 바르기 드남 용소 드버 칙체 깡양 항순기 땜발라 드버 코그. And the second one, which is the inclusive part, are the type of statements in which if the particle 깡양, these three particles, are used to show that every meaning between the second, so second and the between the first and the last word is inclusive, then it is the inclusive case. So one must understand that the second or the last word is something that is, in most cases, it's inferential, meaning that it won't be written in the statement, but just by understanding the first word, the last one is inferred. So this type of usage case is known as inclusive because it is inclusive of everything from the first and the last limit. And therefore, it is called inclusive case. The reason why it's called the inclusive case. So therefore, these are the two usage cases under it. The first one is the ornamental case, in which the ornamental word exaggerates the meaning of the first ornamental word. And then the inclusive case is a usage case in which everything from the first limit to the last limit is inclusive or included. So therefore, these are the two usage cases. So when I say usage cases, I'm just merely saying giving a very brief introduction to this. It is a usage case, so it's this type of usage case. Now, we will discuss this in the class where we'll discuss the usage case of the inclusive and ornamental particles. Today, we are just doing a very brief introduction to everything. Okay, so we try to understand the inclusive case here. So there are three particles of inclusive and ornamental particles, and these three particles are Yang Yang Hang. So the particle of the inclusive and ornamental case is dependent particle. So what do we understand by dependent particle? We understand that these particles are particle which depends, or it depends on the suffix letter to be associated with the name. So these particles are dependent on the suffix letter to be associated. So therefore, these are called the dependent particles. Independent particles, as we know, are the ones in which the usage or association does not require to be based on suffix letter. So therefore, since we already have this, we already clarified that it's a dependent particle. We will understand it later that since it's a dependent particle, it has a rule which tells us what type of particle associates with what type of word, depending on the suffix letter. It's called Drajor. Okay, so these are the two things about the inclusive and ornamental particles. Now, the inclusive and ornamental particles. The first one is the inclusive case. So, so three compulsory components of the statement. So when we talk about statement, we're talking about the inclusive statement. So, sorry, in ornamental statement. Just ornamental. So ornamental statements. So these three compulsory particles, like we always say, when we talk about compulsory, what we mean is that it's compulsory in writing, not in inference, because things like we already discussed, some things can be inferential, but need not be written in the statement, just like the in the third case of the object. Object is something that is inferentially understood that it's required for that type of statement, but even though it is inferentially understood, but need not be written in a statement. So the three compulsory components that are needed to be written in the statement is first and second ornamental word. So the first ornamental word or descriptive word and second ornamental or descriptive word. And then with that, we need the particles of ornamental case that is written in between these two ornamental words. So therefore, these three are the compulsory components of the ornamental statement. Okay, so penna, which is example. So we see that in these three statement examples, we have given the example of the ornamental case. First is sang yang sang, in which we see that two ornamental words, sang and sung, are written, and the particle that relates between two of these ornamental word is the particle of ornamental case, which is kyang, and in this case it's yang. So sang, it is good and it's still good. It's good amongst good. It's good, yet it's much better. So in that case, we can understand this. So we see that in this particular statement, sang, we see that we have the first ornamental word, that is sang. Then we have the particle of the ornamental case, yang. And then finally, we have the second ornamental word. But here we see that both of these ornamental words are the same. So they are of the same nature. When I say same nature, when we talk about ornamental word and we talk about the nature, we talk about the fact that both of them are positive. Meaning that both of them describes a positive quality. So it shows and it depicts a positive quality. So sang, in which the first quality, which is the sang, and the second quality are helping each other. In this case, are of the same kind and helping each other in ornamenting it to someone. So when we say sang, it means it's good and yet better, meaning that it's good and it's even greater now. The second one is qian. Qie means to be big. It's big and yet very big. It's bigger than big. So qian, in which we see that the particle that relates between these two ornamental words is hang, qiang, qie. And we can also use yang. Then xin, qiang, ngagel, chung. So even if someone had a great knowledge, they are very less egoistic or self-centered. In this, we see that both of these ornamental words are not one, but the second one, what it does is that it helps towards, both of them are positive. So one is the ngagel chung, means to be less egoistic. So both of these are positive. So they're in the same direction. The word ngagel chung, which means to have less ego, exaggerates over the good quality of having a lot of knowledge. So this type of statement is known as inclusive statement. Then we have other ornamental words. We have other ornamental words such as, now we have a lot of them. Ringpo, chung, chung, qianpo, hong tong. And then we have cao, changmo, Trona Demba, which means happy, and Kyona Demba, which means sad. A happy sad, a face sad. A happy face, a sad face. So Trona Demba means happy face, meaning it could be Trona Dembe Ngodong, which means Trona Dembe Ngo. Which means happy face, Trona Dembe Ngo. which means sad face. So we see that all these are some examples of ornamental words. So what they do is that they describes a particular thing. So in this case, the object to which this particular ornament is subjected towards is not written in the statement. To have a full statement, for example, we say sang sang. To make it a full, it has to be mithe ni sang sang. It means that that person is good, and even better, meaning that that person is good by nature. Or for example, it could mean like, oh, that person is good in something. Like for example, that person is good in that person has a good knowledge. Upon that, that person is very well mannered. Mithe sang sang. Rite cheang che. That mountain is big, yet it's much bigger, meaning that it's big, but still the word big does not do any justification to it, yet it is much bigger than the big. So this becomes the full. So this in this particular statement, in these type of statement, we see that even though they are similar to the ones I have given in the example, that is for the inclusive case, but the addition here is of the name to which this ornament is directed towards. So in the first case, it's the person. The second case, it's the mountain or the mountain. Yes, the mountain. So mithe sang sang rithe ni chiang che. Or one can say like honi chusim chiang che. He has a great he is a great spiritual he is a very great spiritual great religious mind, yet still he is greater than the great, meaning that they, whoever it is, have a great spiritual mind that is greater than the great. So so in this case, the usage of two ornamental words is one to exaggerate that very quality which is described by the first ornamental word. Second, also as a form of confirmation that yes, it has this quality. So for both this reason, we use the ornamental statement to describe this particular name. So Ming, me, the, Hong. So sometimes the name could be a pronoun. So in this case, we see it's a pronoun. So we must understand that whenever we talk about the ornamental case, the first and the second ornamental word should always be ornamental word, meaning that those two components, which is not the particle, should be ornamental word. So there cannot be a case where one is ornamental and the other is not an ornamental word. It doesn't make any sense. So therefore, the ornamental case is a case in which the first word exaggerates the meaning of the second ornamental word. Okay, so now these and there are two type of ornamental two type of usage of ornamental case, which we will discuss later. So now this one, which is the second usage case, that is the inclusive case. And we will also talk about this in more detail in the class where we'll talk about the usage cases. So duba like we already said in the definition, duba means that anything from the first limit to the last limit is included. It's inclusive in between. So the inclusiveness, when it's shown by the particle of inclusive case, it's known as the inclusive case. So dubar the three compulsory components of the inclusive case. So the three compulsory components of the inclusive case are one is not, so therefore instead of three, let me just write two, because this becomes quite problematic, because let me explain why. This becomes problematic because the second component, which is the ending limit, which is the end limit, is inferential. It's not written in the statement. Therefore, our definition of compulsory was that it should be stated there in the statement. So in this type of case statement, we see that the end limit is not stated directly in the statement. Thus, only two components which are written in their compulsory. The first one is so the two compulsory components of inclusive case. The first one is the first word to indicate the limit of the inclusiveness. So the first word, what it does is that it indicates what are included in this. So the things that are also included in between are inferential. They are not stated there. So whenever we talk about the direct and inferential, we have to talk about the fact that it's directly stated in the text or not. It doesn't have anything to do with direct and inferential other than that. So it's direct or inferential, and it's direct and inferential on the basis of being stated there. So since the first word it indicates the entire limit of the things that are included in that statement, therefore it is known as the indicator of the limit of inclusiveness and the particle of inclusive case. So we also have the particle of inclusive case. So by the usage of these two, what will happen is that we will be able to include a lot of things which are in between the first and the final limit in a statement. So penna, for example, if there is gold, for example, if we were talking about something like, for example, if we went to a jewelry shop and then we are saying that if there is a gold, for example, it could be anything. It could be something made of gold. If there is gold, then we don't even have to talk about whether they have silver, because if they have gold, it is given that they also have a silver, because by every logic we understand that gold is more valuable than silver. So if someone has a particular thing in gold, it is already given that they have the same. Like, for example, in a shop, not in a home, because even though if something is cheaper, it's not necessary that it should be there in a home. But in a shop, if, like I said, in a jewelry shop, if someone was buying something made out of gold, and then they found that the shop sells things made out of gold, then there is no need to say that things made of silver is included. And the inclusive now comes from the gold to anything that is much cheaper than a gold, which is sold as a jewelry. So we can say that there is no need to say, about things made out of bronze, things made out of steel, things made out of copper. Because since we already have a thing that is made out of gold, anything much cheaper than this is definitely there in the shop. So therefore, in this case, we see that it is inclusive from the most valuable of its kind to all of the rest that comes under it. So that is inclusive here. Inclusive here. We don't have to state that, oh, there is gold. For example, let's say that it was a gold plate. So there is a golden plate. Okay, there is a gold plate. Then there is a silver plate. There is a bronze plate. You don't have to. There is a steel plate. You don't have to go on writing all of this because everything is included. Then the second type, 这是讲一句来或来读. So even Tashi. So for example, let's consider Tashi to be someone in the class who usually doesn't do very well in a certain type exam. So if someone states that even Tashi has done wonderful in the exam, then everyone who normally does better is already included there in the exam. So that is the inclusive case. And then the final one is Yangchen Amayangdu, which means that even the mother elephant is there, which indicates and gives us an inferential understanding that the baby elephant is also there. We don't even have to talk about the baby elephant. Even the mother elephant is there. So in this, we include everything which is most probable to be there if the mother elephant is there. So these type of statements are known as inclusive statements. So these are all inclusive statements. So let's try. For example, if we talk about another limit, so which means that even in the winter, it is very warm. So what do we have the inference from here? We infer that if it's warm during the winter, then we don't even have to talk about the autumn and the summer and the spring, because since it's already stated that it's even warm during the winter, the other three seasons are inclusive here. Similarly, if we use the opposite, we say like year 2, yang, hajang, chang. It's extremely cold even in the summer. So if a certain place is extremely cold even in the summer, there's nothing to say about it during any other season, because if it's very cold during the summer, then it's going to be extremely cold during other seasons, especially during autumns and winter. So this way we understand the inclusiveness, because one particular type of limit is stated there, and anything which is inclusive in that particular limit is taken inclusive. So that type of statement is known as inclusive statement. So two types of statement. The first one is the ornamental. The second one is inclusive. So so this is a statement that has a first statement from which we will understand how we're including it. So we are setting limit here. It says that Tundrup ni Dinche Nang Toshu Cheshu Yin. Tundrup is the most Tundrup has the most strength in the class. So now we understand that the limit starts from Tundrup, meaning that Tundrup is the most strongest. So, so for example, if there was like certain type of competition that has to do there is a certain type of competition that has to do with strength. Let's say put something like arm wrestling. So it's stated that Tundrup is the strongest in our class. If even he is defeated, what is there to say about us? Meaning that those who are in that same class, if Tundrup, who is the strongest, has been defeated in the competition that has to be related with strength. So here, particularly talking about strength, if someone who is known for their strength has lost a competition in strength, what is there to say about those who are less stronger than him? So all of the class students, what is there to say about them if even Tundrup was not able to defeat someone? So here we see that by using this statement, the inclusive case, what it does is that it includes all of the class students because they are weaker than Tundrup in strength. And this type of statement is known as the inclusive statement. So therefore, this is the introduction for the inclusive and ornamental case. So like I said last class, I'm trying to break down the lesson into a very suitable portion each class, so that everyone can also get a chance to revise things, so that it doesn't become overwhelming. So to revise things. So that is the reason why we're having a very small portion here for today's class. So in this class, we talked about the inclusive and ornamental particles, in which we said that there are 3 inclusive and ornamental particles. Both are same, unlike the 3rd and the 6th grammatical case, in which the particles had a difference of the suffix letter sa. Here, the particles are identical, which is the same. All of the identical of the inclusive particle is identical to the particles of the ornamental particles of the ornamental case. So there are 3 particles of the inclusive and ornamental particle. These 3 are kyang, yang, and hang. So we understood that the inclusive and ornamental should be understood as inclusive and ornamental case, in which the statement, which is in whichever statement, if the particle kyang, yang, hang is used, and it's used to show that the second word is an ornament or exaggerating the quality of the first word, then this type of statement is understood as ornamental statement. So the second one, if the particle kyang, yang, hang is used to show that every meaning between the first and the last word is inclusive, the last word being inferential, meaning the last limit is inclusive, then this type of usage case of statement is known as inclusive case. Then we understood that the inclusive and ornamental particle. There are three particles, and the inclusive and ornamental particle are also dependent particles, meaning that they depend on the suffix letter to associate with other names. There are three compulsory components for the ornamental statement. The three components are the first and the second ornamental word in the statement, and the particle of the ornamental case, which is used in order to bring together these two ornamental words and establish a relation between these two. So these three statements are first and second ornamental word and the particle of ornamental case. For example, sang yang sang, che yang che, chen yu chen, nga gyal chen. So these are example. The inclusive case here, we must understand that the inclusive case has only two compulsory components. The first one is to indicate the limit of the inclusiveness, and the second one is the particle of inclusive case. And here, we're talking about only two compulsory components, because the third component, which is the last limit, is inferential. Be it the last in the when we talk about something that goes in the positive, or last in the case of going towards something negative. So the limit, that limit is it's something that is inferential. It is not written in that statement. For example, in which we see that gold, which is considered to be valuable, more valuable than silver. So it says that if there is things made of gold, then there is nothing to say about, we don't even have to doubt about having things made of silver. This is inclusive because of the term gold, because the term gold, what it does is that it acts as an inclusiveness of all the things that is less valuable than gold. Dorje, for example, if someone would never does good in the exam, if it's stated that even Tashi was able to do good, and it's inferential that all the other have already done well, then if the mother elephant is there, then definitely the child is already there. There's no need to state that. So this is an introduction to the inclusive and ornamental particle. So before I and these are the words that we use today. Some of the examples. So one of the assignments today I will send two assignments. So tomorrow I'll make sure to send two assignments, one for the last class, one for today's class, and upon that, one extra assignment, that is to find 10 ornamental words, descriptive words in Tibetan. To find 10 words in Tibetan that describes a noun, like an adjective. So please find 10 words, and the words should not be any of the words used here. So these are the words. You cannot use these ornamental words. Any other word than these. So 10. Please try finding 10. And if you couldn't find 10, then please send as much as you have found. Okay, so that will be for the assignment. And so some of you have sent me the recording of the Tree of Excellence speech. I have listened to it, but I have not sent the feedback till now because I was not able to send it. So I will send it tomorrow. The feedback I will. So when it comes to feedback, what I will do is that I'll listen. I'll listen to the words that are pronounced, mispronounced. I'll listen to the word that needs a little correction, and then I will send a voice message in which I correct all of these. And yes, so before I read the verse, I can take 3 questions if anyone has questions. 3 questions. I'll take 3 questions today. There is more time today, so I can take 3. And if you have more, I'll even take more than 3. So if anyone has questions, please ask away about inclusive and ornamental particle, anything which is related to today's class. So ornamental words are actually very it's a group of those type of words. It's normally it's understood as something that is used to ornament a statement. So this ornamental word as an ornament can be used either by describing something like an adjective, like an adjective, or it could be also used as a word that makes a statement more beautiful, like in the poetry. So ornamental word is it's more difficult to understand than just a normal idea of words, because, for example, like the action word, they have a particular set of rules that they have to follow. But the rule with the ornamental word is that it should ornament the statement. So what do I mean by ornament? Meaning that either it should make the statement sound more beautifully, like it does in the poem. We have the ornamental words in poem, or in the normal day-to-day life, it should actually bring a new dynamic to the statement, which in this case we see that it is done by giving a description. So adjective is there, and adverb. So we see that adverb, it only happens to be an adverb only if we see that there is addition of the particle of third grammatical case, and this is the inferential case. So let me just write this one like we discussed last time. Telki draw. So we see that in this case, when we say telki draw, this is an adverb, but only if we use the particle of third grammatical case. Telpo and telwa. These all mean slow. So this is an adjective by itself, but this is not an adverb. It's an adjective. But when it comes to adverb, we see that it only becomes adverb when we add the third grammatical case. Other than that, otherwise you have to use the word ngang. That is also another way. Telpo ngang ne ngang ki telpo ngang draw, which means to go slowly. But then we see that there is addition of this another particle, which is a particle, but mostly used in the spoken rather than the grammar. So it's more like a colloquial particle rather than the grammar particle. But still, it makes this adjective into an adverb. But still, the word itself does not represent adverb, and so adverb is something that we will consider in Tibetan. Adverb should be something that should be considered as a phrase rather than a word. So it's a combination of words. So therefore, adverb is not included. Other than that, adjective is included, descriptive word is included, and then words which are used in the poem, which makes the statement more beautiful, are also included there. Like one time I was using this example where, okay, let me write that example. I also used that in my verse. I said, okay, let me just copy this on here. because so dawe kala marketang. Think this. So dawe kala marketang. So this particular statement, we see that here what I have done is that I have used the example of the so yes, let me answer this and then so dawe kalam peme mardanche, which is on the face as white as the moon, like the moon. There is the shade of pink or red of the lotus. So here we see that I've taken the example of moon as for the white of the moon as the example of the face, the color of face, and the shade of red of lotus as an example of the pink shade on that white face. So you see that in this, I'm using these example as an ornament to the statement. So these are ornamental in poetry. So these are the ones that belongs to ornamental words. But the thing is that you cannot bring that idea of poetry as an ornamental word here in the ornamental case. It must be understood as the one which only is used as a adjective in that case. Okay, Lasso. I hope that clears it. Now, what is happened if we use question word together with yang? Tongke tela chikyang sheki met. Tongke tela chikyang sheki met. So, one thing, this is a rule that we have. It's not a rule. It's more or less like grammatical rule, and then we follow it very strictly. Is that if it's a question, we add the question particle. So, tongke Ndiru chikyang sheki metam. Tongketiru chikyang sheki metam. So this seems to be a question, and let me translate this. And if it's if I get it wrong, then please tell me what you mean to say, and I'll write it in Tibetan. So does it mean that you don't know anything about this? You don't know anything about this town or city. So Tongket city. So you don't know anything about the city. So this is it? You don't even know anything about the city. Is it correct? But which I have said in English. Did you mean to say it in that way? Because when we translate it, it somewhat means like, do you even not know anything about the city? In this case, we see that the inclusiveness is that you don't know anything about the city, asking that you don't even know anything about the city, let alone trying to guide me in the city, you know? So the fact that being able to guide me is inclusive in here, but now in the negative sense, we're saying that your ability to guide me through this city is without saying anything. It's already something that's not possible. Upon that, I'm asking you, do you not even know anything here? Even a single thing about the city? So that is inclusive, meaning that not only there is no way that you can guide me through the city. But it's also the case where I'm asking that, because by saying that you do not know anything about the city, what I'm doing is that I am stating the first limit, which is the state where someone knows nothing about the city. But now what is inclusive here? The thing that's inclusive here is that everything that is beyond this, the ability to do anything beyond this, is already it's already included in this to be not possible. So if you're not able to, if you don't even know anything about the city, then there is no way you'll be able to guide me through this, or there's no way you'll be able to tell me where this is, or in that case, there's no way you will be able to answer even a single question, right? So that is the inclusive here, but yes, with the question. So therefore, in the future, whenever there's question, include this particle. This either include, even if you are using a question, if you're using a interrogative particle like 강 in a statement, 강, 강래, 강두, 강와. So here we also use the more written language particles. So instead of kare, we use 강래. Instead of kadu, we use 강두. Instead of kawa, we use 강와. Same meaning, but this is written more in the written language sense. But still, even if you're using these particles, please use this particle, which there are 11 of this. Kham, ngam, hum, nam, pum, mum, hum, ram, lam, sum, tam. 11 of these particles, which has to be used on dependence on the, it has to be associated on the basis of the suffix letter. Then only the statement will be complete as a question. But I hope that I clarified the answer for this when we talk about the inclusiveness. We said that if you don't even know about this, then everything else which is included after that, which has to be analyzed as competence, someone being competent to do that, is already nullified. For example, if you say like, if you cannot even, are you not even able to, for example, let's say, are you not even able to walk 3 kilometers? Then we will already nullify the possibility that they are not able to walk 5, 10, 15, 20 kilometers. So still inclusive, doesn't matter if it's a question. So inclusive case. Okay, I hope this clarifies it. If I say he is brave, also humble. Kerami loko cheang nyamchungtu. Yes, in this case here, hang is not ornamental usage, but only this is this is ornamental because loko che and nyamchung are both ornamental words, not connective. This is ornamental because both loko che and nyamchung are connective. Ornamental words, and the criteria for a statement to be an ornamental statement was that the first and second. So the second statement, what it does is that it will be ornamental, or it will be exaggerating the statement, the quality of the first one. So here we say that. So in this case, what happens is that it's the first one. Both of these are positive. First one says that he is brave. The second one says that not only he is brave, he is humble. That means that he knows that he is brave, that he's capable of doing things. But at the same time, he's humble and not arrogant about it. So both positive traits here. So, and both ornamental to him. So ornamental case, not connective case. Connective case, we only give credit to Hang. That's it. Other than that, we usually don't give any credit to. There are also alternative particles which have connective, but yeah, in this case, we will consider this as ornamental. And ornamental is a case where you have to ornament and they're connected or related by the particle. But if it is related by the particle, doesn't mean that this is. And you're talking about connective. The thing is that the second thing is that every particle here is known as connective particle, but of different usage case and of different grammatical case. But at the end, all of them are connective particle. Sik te, like I said, sik te. Te means to connect. Sik means word that connects two or three portion of a sentence. So they connect. But are they conjunction? No, this is not conjunction. Conjunction only tang has the ability to be conjunction. Therefore, it's called tangda. Conjunctive word case, conjunction case. So this is not conjunction. But connective, yes, all of them. Everything that we have learned till this point, everything is connective particle. So I hope this clarifies how to define ornamental word. So ornamental word is, so just like the inclusive word, inclusive particle, let me answer this one and then I'll answer. But if you're saying inclusive particle, then I think we have already gone through this, but yes, please define inclusive word after this. How to define ornamental word? Shiny, beautiful, tasty. Yes, these are ornamental words, yes. But these are ornamental words that's adjective. But there are also ornamental words which are used in the poem, which is not adjective, but like I said, which is not a adjective, but it ornaments. What it does is that it makes a statement beautiful. So ornamental word, sige and gensik, understood in two words, sige and gensik. So the sige refers to the usage in the poem where it makes it beautiful, and gensik refers to the adjective, also known as tilsik, because it describes the noun. Talk from the perspective of an adverb. So adverb is not an. If we talk from the perspective of an adverb, etc. So inclusive word, there are collective nouns which are named that represents a group of things that have similar characteristics. Those are collective noun. In Tibetan, we have those chi, we call it chi, and then we have individuality with the cheta. But inclusive word, inclusive particle is there, but inclusive word is not there. So therefore, inclusive particle, if we talk about inclusive particle, then the particle, the three particles that we use, kyang, yang, hang, these are inclusive particles, only when they are used in a statement in a way that they are inclusive of everything that's between the two limits. Yes, between the two limits. So that is known as the inclusive particle. So I hope if that is the answer of the inclusive particle that you're finding. If not, then please elaborate more on inclusive word. This is because maybe I'm just understanding it in other way. But if it's in inclusive particle, then it's kyang yang hang. The inclusive words, if you want to understand them in the perspective of English, kyang yang hang, inclusive particle. So, like I said, it will depend on statement, particular statement. No, it is not adverb. Like I already said, adverb is not included in inclusive particle. Also, in the inclusive case, it's not included in inclusive case. We already established that there are two, which is the sige. So here, sige, which is the usage of the the inclusive case, not adverb. So adverb might have been possible in the ornamental case, but it is hindered by the requirement that it needs the third grammatical case or the colloquial particle. But yes, if you want the English equivalent, it's more like even. Like we say that even he has, even they came today. Meaning that if someone would normally not join in some type of community activity, if we say like even they came, which means that even they came, meaning that very statement, that is they, and it must be something that's familiar with the one you're talking, because when we say even they came, if someone who doesn't know that these are people who normally don't participate in social gathering, then that doesn't make any sense as an inclusive. But if it's someone that knows, then we say that even they came. We understand that everyone else in the neighborhood has come for this community gathering. So that is the inclusive case. So normally in English, we translate it as even. So that is how one must understand it, as even. So in that case, so okay. So I guess this is it for the question. I hope that I was able to clarify your questions. And like I said in the previous class, and also I have some questions that still needs to be answered, which I have not, which I will answer it as soon as possible. So those who have asked me questions and have not received answer, I apologize, and I state that I will answer them soon. And those who have questions and have not posted it here, you can also post it in the group, and I will attend to them. As soon as possible, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. If there's a little bit of delay, I apologize for that, and I will try to answer them as quick as possible. And for the assignments, I will send the assignments most probably by tomorrow, and if I can, I will upload it by tomorrow. If it's not posted by tomorrow, then I will make sure that I post it by day after tomorrow, and upload the materials for the previous class and today's class. Okay, so thank you very much for the questions. Very wonderful questions, and I hope that I was able to answer to them as clear as possible. And like I said, if it wasn't clear, please ask them again in the group. All of the questions in the group as well as in the class is very, very, very appreciated. And I thank every one of you who are asking questions. And then those who are asking questions in the group also, thank you very much. Those who will have questions and doubts, please ask them later whenever you can. And like I always say, thank you very much for the commitment. Yes, thank you very much for your commitment in studying this language and showing your enthusiasm. And I hope that by the blessings of the Mother Saraswati and Buddha Manjushri and Buddha Shakyamuni and all of our gurus, may we be able to continue with these classes, because we all know that impermanence is the nature of things, and therefore we may not know what may happen in the next moment. So even though we hope most wonderfully that we can carry on these classes, and that may it benefit every one of you. So let me just read this verse of dedication, and I'll write the English translation in this file, and then send this file in the group with the material. So for the auspiciousness and for the most wonderful dedication. Like I said in the previous class, we have two type of things. We have Minlam, which is like wishing. And then we have Hoa, which is, okay, let me write it here. So this is just a small fun fact, or not a fun fact, small extra information. I'm sorry for too much information that I'm pouring in one single class. So Minlam means wishing, like wishing for something to happen. Hoa is dedication, two different things. Minlam doesn't need any sort of uh, sort of uh, like, for example, it doesn't need any sort of merits or anything to wish for something. But to dedicate, it requires merit. You use the merit as the resource for your dedication. You use these merits so that your dedication would be fulfilled. So therefore, difference between Minlam and Hoa is the existence of this merit as a resource. So all of these are dedication. Hoa. These are not things like wishing for something. This is something that we take as aspiration and we make sure we make it true. And all of these will become true. That's the other thing, because we are using our merits that we have accumulated to make this particular dedication come to fruition. So therefore, difference between Melam and Hoa. We call it Ze. Ze means material or element. It doesn't require any element or resource for wishing, but for dedication, it requires. And here we are using the merits that we have gained from participating in this class. And so with this, I recite this dedication. Gewati Drubpay Semchenam. Sherab Drume Sertop Dune. Sherab Songcho Gula. Denkirpa. Sherab Jime Nela Pyoparsho. Om Tri Ratna Sarva Siddhi Swaha. Okay, so this dedication, what it means is that by this merit that I have accumulated, so when I say I, please refer to yourself, that I have accumulated, may the entire sentient being, may all this entire sentient being achieve the most transcendent light, that emanates from the lamp of wisdom. May they achieve the most excellent speech and wisdom that emanates from the Mother Saraswati. And may all of the sentient beings, including I, be cleansed of our stain. When we say stain, we talk about the two types of stain: the stain by the affliction of mind and the stain by the impression of the affliction of mind. So both of these stains, may we be free from this stain, and then may we all be born in the pure land of Manjushri. And then Om Tri Ratna Sarva Siddhi Swaha means that in all completion, may the three gems, which is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, be wonderfully established. Just like by the turning of the three wheels, Buddha has established the Dharma, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in this earth. May by this merit, all of us, when we turn into Buddha, may all of us be able to establish the same in any earth or any world that we are by our own merits given the responsibility of. Okay, so this is the dedication. Now, final, before we end this, small confession. So I apologize to the Buddha and Bodhisattva of the three times. So before, I apologize to all the sentient beings and to every one of you, my students, that for the delay of attaining the enlightenment and for not being able to attain enlightenment by now. I apologize for the to the three gems that I am preaching this wonderful teaching in my most imperfect speech. And I apologize to all the sentient beings and for preaching this teaching, for teaching this in this most imperfect speech of mine. And I apologize to all of you precious students that for teaching this teaching in my most imperfect speech. But I shall take this as an inspiration that my imperfection will be turned into the complete perfect form, and that by this motivation and intention, I also thank every one of you for your patience, and understanding, and then may soon all of us attain the great completion and be able to deliver all the teaching in the most excellent way. So thank you very much for joining in today, and thank you very much, and I'll see every one of you. So we have a class on Sunday on the Dharma vocabulary class. So those who are joining me there, I'll see you in that class. Those of you who are only joining me for this class, I will see you on Monday. So thank you, and Drashit to everyone.